Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to another episode of the Lab podcast. This is episode 21, and today we have a very special guest who happens to be the winner of the Lab Summer Challenge. So everyone, welcome Aerial Neis and also Kel, as usual. But how's it going, everyone?
It's going good. Another Sunday evening. Weather's finally cooling off in Ohio, so it's been wonderful.
Nice. How about you, Ariel?
Cool, 3 days till vacation, so counting down.
Where are you located?
I'm in Dayton.
Oh, you're in Ohio too? Dope.
Yeah.
Everyone.
See, Cody, you just
I
need to
know.
move up here.
Seriously, everyone who is cool is in Ohio, and I don't know what I'm doing here anymore.
It's a lot cheaper than California.
It is.
I
was going to say, you're just paying too much to live over there in sunny Cali.
I know. I'm not even in a good part of Cali, so I'm just paying too much to live in general. There's no beach. It's hot as hell. It's not great.
You got trees at least?
We got trees. Yes, this is true. But it's just, it can be pretty, but it just depends where you're at. So I'm kind of just in the kind of not so pretty parts, and it's hot, and yeah, nothing special.
I thought California was literally the state of all seasons, where you drive, 2 hours in one direction either way, and you have snow or you have beach.
That's probably decently true, because I can drive 2 hours north, and there'll be not right now, but there's usually lots of snow, so you can go snowboarding, skiing, whatever. Then if I drive 2 hours south or towards the Bay Area, there's a beach. So I guess I should not be complaining, but I don't like driving because traffic. So 2 hours is actually 4.
Yeah. See, I feel like as the older I get, the more I realize it's really hard to find a nice place with trees that doesn't have Republicans. It's really tricky.
Yeah.
That is true.
My friend just moved to Tennessee, and I wouldn't advise trying there, though he does say it is beautiful. So, but
it sounds nice.
He was told to, because we work in sales, and he transferred there, and he got told by somebody, hey, don't tell these guys that you moved there from Ohio, because they're really mad at anyone who's moving to their state, because apparently everybody's moving there. And he was like, also, you bleed red, right? Taylor's just like, I'm in sales. I bleed whatever color they tell me to. So, sure.
I'm like, are they making an Ohio State joke? I don't understand.
He's like, whatever they say, I've got you. I'll follow along.
Whatever. I can read the room. All right.
Yeah.
How are you guys doing? Where are you going on vacation, Ariel?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. It's absolutely nowhere. I'm staying home, but I'm not going to work for 6 days. I have told all of my coworkers and all of my friends who happen to also be coworkers that I'm blocking all of their numbers. Don't call me. Don't text me. Don't think about me. Don't wave at me in the grocery store, because I don't want to talk to you. We had a couple of house projects to do. We got them all done. So our big excursion is, I'm a huge football fan, and we're going down to Canton to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And
Dope.
Yeah. Yep. That's what we're doing.
Nice.
And probably going to go to a couple breweries that don't line up with my health goals, but
well, we can talk about that.
Vacation.
If you want.
Right? Gotta support the local business.
Hey, vacation is a free time. You don't take them all the time. So.
That's
true.
Yeah.
How you been, Cody?
Good. I currently found the puppy, so
You got your lap
at least
pet.
he's not
Everybody
eating
with
something.
their
He's
black
not
lap
supposed-
pets.
Yes. Where's yours? Yeah. You had to get rid of
I
yours.
kicked him out. He was whining.
Yeah, I've been good. Nothing crazy. I think I'm officially going to get the process started for PRP injections for my knee, because nothing else is working. So downside of that is lots of money out of pocket. But yeah, hopefully it works, and then I can like have legs again. But we'll see what happens.
I mean, I've heard wonders from the PRP stuff, so even though they're expensive, it works, Yeah,
I think specifically it's not supposed to be very it doesn't work very well with like cartilage issues, but with tendons it's supposed to be more promising. So we'll just go with that and hope that it's something that saves the day and works, and then I can stop like having to deal with this, because it's been a year that I've actually been dealing with it, and like I don't know how many months now that I first went to the doctor. It was November of last year, so it's just I'm like ready to take my money. I don't know.
Is it more like the front of your knee, the top of your knee?
Yeah, so it's like the patella tendon, which is right, on the front. So depending who you talk to, I mean, the MRI report and my last doctor that I had said I had a partial tear. This doctor says he's like, you just have a lot of bad tissue. It's not torn, it's just a lot of bad tissue. And I'm like, okay, but then why does the MRI report say a partial tear? But like, I have a hard time trusting him because he won't even like review my chart very well. So the last appointment I had with him was like my first appointment all over again. And I'm just like, oh my God, why? Tell me why I should trust you right now.
Yeah.
But medical system blows. But I don't know. So Ariel, let's talk about you, since you are our special guest and you won the Lab Summer Challenge. So tell us a little bit about you and your fitness journey, and like what got you here, your goals, how did you win the Summer Challenge, like what kept you going, all of those fun things.
Well, a little bit about me. I call myself the professional generic fitness person. I do everything kind of okay and none of it amazingly well. Wow, he just growled at me. See how it is. So I've been going to the gym. I actually just looked this up the other day. I've been going to my gym for like 10 years, but that doesn't mean I've been consistent for 10 years. First 3 years, I definitely mostly parked in the parking lot and just stared at the door and pretended to go. And then I really found my love for fitness, I think, as a lot of people do in a bad breakup, when you're like, I can't go home because you're there. I guess I'll go to the gym. Hold on. What are you doing? No, I'm sorry. I have 4 cats and a dog, and I don't even know what Gideon's doing.
All animal people.
Yeah, I just heard him chewing something. So I've been consistently going for like 7 to 8 years. I had no goal whatsoever when I first started. And then I started kind of following a couple podcasts and a couple YouTubers, and I was like, I'm going to get strong like that. I got kind of strong, in my opinion. I mostly got fat. I was like, I'm going to do the perma bulk. And I got a job that encouraged the perma bulk because you got free food, but I worked in a corrections facility, so it was free food. But it was carbs. It was lots of carbs. And I'm like, yeah, this is fueling my workouts. It's great, guys, right? And then I just kind of ballooned out of nowhere. And then I met my wife and I got really happy. So I continued in that direction. And then we were like, maybe we should be healthy. Tying my shoes is a little hard. That was literally the thing that made me start buckling down again. And I would say in the last 3 to 4 years, I've been really consistent. Dropped 50 pounds. And then really thank you. Cause I didn't realize I'd gotten that big until I was like, wow, that's where I'm at. I got up to 240 and I don't look good with 240. I gravitate towards puffy, but I mean, that's my fitness stuff. And I just I love it. It's a hobby for me. I would love to call it my passion, but it's more like a hobby. I go 4 or 5 times a week. I'm constantly trying to get movement in. I'm trying to get my wife to work out with me a little bit. Right now, it's mostly we go at the same time, and I conveniently admire her from the mirrors. I'm like, what are you doing over there? Are you over there? Just kind of walking around and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, my ultimate goal is I'm always trying to get a little bit leaner, but I want to do it in a way that I can sustain my lifestyle. And right now, in the last year, I've been working a lot with anxiety and moderation and other things. Because part of my journey has been I live in the breweries, and I'm like, I still love to be here, but that doesn't lead to health, right? So that's kind of where I'm at now. I'm trying to like move away from scale journeys right now. I think it's kind of where I'm at because I've been having a lot of like I need to hit this number on the scale, and then I found a picture from like 3 years ago where I was 10 pounds lighter 3 years ago than I am today, and I'm like, no, that's not it. So that's me in a nutshell. And the lab, I really joined it because I was like really struggling with some consistency and community, and I'm like, I really want to like be a part of something where I can talk to people and like reach out and like hang out with people, or what can build that community, right? And I'll be honest, there's a lot of days where I'm like, I could just not wear my Fitbit because my Fitbit's a big motivator for me. I'm like, I could not. And then I'm like, wait, I'm in a challenge. And I don't think it's fair for me to just phone it in and give up when I have other people who I think are really, really trying. So I love the challenge. I can't wait to do another one. It was great.
Oh,
awesome.
I think that was our plan, like because I think that's the hardest thing, especially like to have community. So in short, like I think the reason CrossFit succeeds so well is because one, it makes you feel sore, which everybody thinks they have a good workout if they feel sore. But two, I think it's the community. I think that's like the key thing in fitness goals that a lot of people miss, is like, especially like people who played team sports. Were you a sports player?
No, I grew up with horses, so that is a solitary sport.
Horse girl, huh?
I am. Not anymore, but I used to be. Yes.
I grew up I was like a horse person too, but like a fan horse person. So like my mom had horses, but like we didn't have horses. So like we went to all the horse things, and like fanned over it, and like not like, but we weren't cool enough to be horse girls. So which I think makes me a step down from horse girls.
I was horse girl. I'm sorry, you're not a step down, but I was horse girl. I actually grew up like my mom worked for a horse farm for too many years, and I bought my first horse when I was 15. This family was amazing. They like let me give them half the money and then work him off, and I had horses until I was like 23, and now I'm kind of like, horses. Like they just don't drive me. Don't tell my best friend Leah that though.
She's gonna listen. She's gonna know.
She will, because I'm gonna send her the link. Be like, listen to this. Watch me make funny faces.
I think I always wished I could like ride a horse, but unfortunately I have zero experience except for maybe like a school camp. We had to ride horses, but they're like so trained they just knew where to go. But it's still, I was like, I am going to get like bucked off and killed and paralyzed, but luckily I did not. But that's literally my only experience. So yeah,
we still go to Congress every year. My family, as a family, we go. It's ridiculous. So it's like a big horse show here in Columbus.
Yeah, it competes with the Arnold in Columbus. It's huge. People come from all over. So I was on a rodeo drill team, and like fitness, horses were like, they were my mom's, like horses were my mom's passion, and horses were just something I really liked to do. Like I would say if I didn't have Phantom at 15 to teach a work ethic, I would never be the person I am today. But we used to go to all of those, and we actually did the drill for Fantasia, which goes to Columbus, and we didn't perform in Congress, but we almost did. And I'm just kind of like, there's a lot behind the scenes for those things. I'm like, wow. Yeah, I remember at one of the drills, we were right next, I forget what this horse's name was, but he was an Olympic level dressage horse, and his head was as big as my body. And him and my horse Phantom just got along like nobody's business at all. And I'm just like, wow, I got little old Phantom here, and then we got this giant athlete. It's kind of like, geez, dude. So, but needless to say, I don't do anything with horses anymore. My best friend has them. I'll go hang out with her occasionally, but to be fair, I replaced horses, honestly, with the gym, because that's about when I got really into it again.
Right. It's kind of funny though, because there is a lot of physical activity in that. Like I think people don't understand how like hard it is to like take care of a horse, and like it kind of makes sense that you would like replace one physical, like super physical thing with a super physical thing.
Yeah, I was just thinking that, because I'm like thinking about like because if you ride correctly, it's a lot of core, like a ton of core to sit up straight. It's not, you can't slouch, because if you slouch, you'll pull yourself in either direction. It's a ton of like leg muscles, all hips down, and like being able to actually put your hips in the right position because you gotta be able to tuck them underneath you, and then having that ability to be like kind of soft but firm with your hands. I was just thinking that as you said that, Kel, like a little bit, I was like, wow, like that explains quite a bit. It also explains why I can build muscle on my legs pretty well too, but yeah, I still get sore now.
Oh yeah. I just remember because my mom had my sister and I on horses, like, I don't know, like 5 years ago, and like we embarrassed the fuck out of her because like we couldn't like get the rhythm down because there's such a rhythm to it, and like all your muscles have to work together. It's like almost like doing like a snatch or something, like a really technical move, and if you don't know how to make all your muscles do the same thing, it doesn't look right.
Yes. My wife started taking lessons. I got her lessons for Christmas last year, and she finally cashed them in, right? I was like, go to Leah, do these lessons. And Leah's like, hey, go ahead and hop on my other horse. Here, go ride Ice. Like, she's got a couple of them. I'm like, cool. I'll go ride this horse, right? And I hadn't ridden in 3 years or so. Like, I only ride with Leah, right? And I get on there, and my wife's like, but you can't sit the trot. And this horse is a really big one, and we're English, and I grew up Western and bareback. And I'm like, it's just like a bike, guys. Like, got it. And it was interesting to see just how much I could do, but I was so sore the next day in the weirdest places. I was like, it's not even my legs or my back, it's my hips, and it's only like the front part. And I'm like, what the? It was, yes. Yeah, so I probably wouldn't embarrass your mom. I wouldn't embarrass mine with it, but I'm not good. By any means, I am not good.
That's cool.
So don't you have, like, correct me if I'm wrong, do you have a CrossFit background? I feel like you at one point said you tried it.
No, I dabbled in powerlifting in terms of I never competed because I refused to pay the money to do it, and I never had a coach, but I dabbled in that training style. I never went to a gym that was friendly with CrossFit. So we've had people get, like, not necessarily kicked out for doing snatches, but like scolded heavily because they're like, you can't put that above your head around these people because just
give them the eyes, all they need, you know.
Yeah. But so no, I never did CrossFit.
So you love doing workouts. Was like fitness, was like eating and like nutrition like your hard part? Like, what was the crux of your training and stuff? Like, what was your hardest part, I guess?
Nutrition. Every week I have a goal to hit my protein and to not drink my calories and to not eat chicken wings more than once a week. So mine's always been nutrition. I mean,
and that's pretty common.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty
always
common.
The hardest part.
It's 100% the hardest part. I think people don't, because that's one thing I've noticed is that like a lot of people will be like, well, I eat healthy. And I'm like, well, what does that mean?
No, I don't. Listen, I can't hide anything. I don't. Like, I try, and I do pretty good a couple days a week, but like, especially during the challenge, I was like, hold on. As I reach into the fridge to grab, you know, that can of calories, you know, I'm like, you don't drink that. Reach just slightly to the left and grab the LaCroix, right? Stop it. You have a challenge. You have people that are actually competing against you for something. I'm like, all right, fine. I'll grab the LaCroix and whatnot. But nutrition, it's always been my downfall. Either I don't eat enough, or I eat too damn much, or eat just enough of all the wrong things. And then you look at the end of the day and you're like, winning.
So what would you say are some ways that you've like improved your nutrition over time? And like, I mean, you have lost, you know, a significant amount of weight. So what did you change from like the past to now?
So the first thing I did was count the calories. So that was it. And I started really high. Like I was like, I knew I couldn't count at like 1,800 calories when I first started. I was like, let's start high at 25. And I started counting them. And then from the counting, I moved to the workout. But in the last 2 years, I've really kind of done a little bit more refining. So one, find the foods I liked. So I love chicken wings. I love them. the greasier the better. The divier the bar that serves them, the better they are. And one thing I had to do was start making them at home. So the wife got an air fryer. She's like, we're going to air fry these. I'm like, great. Find the brand you like. I started treating my calories, to be honest, like money, because I'm pretty good with money. Well, I think I am. I like to say I'm probably not, but I like treat them like money. Do you want to spend this on this, or do you want to spend this on this? And doing that. And, I would say some of the tricks, hold on, Herman, stop. Some of the tricks that have helped with the nutrition piece is honestly getting a hold of some of the eating out habits. So, meal prepping, like it is known, Ariel, on Fridays at 6 p.m., don't call her, don't text her. We can call, but you'll be cooking with me, and we meal prep for the next 5 days for lunches, because controlling lunches at work, because that's where it was really getting rough, was at work. So doing that, really finding the foods I like. Like I love sweet potatoes. I'm like, why am I eating rice? I don't like rice. I don't like to make it. It's always al dente. Like it's crunchy because I just can't make it. I don't like it. So potatoes, find something I liked. So I ate that. I don't like green beans unless they're covered in oil. So why am I eating green beans? I like Brussels, right? Yeah. Did that answer the question?
That's a great way to think about it, though. And I think people don't think about it like that. They're like, tell me what to eat and I'll eat it. And I'm like, that's not true, friends. So I had this guy once who asked me what I eat, and I told him, he's like, well, I eat like a dog. So I food process everything, and then I put it in Tupperware containers. And I'm like, why? He's like, isn't that what you do? You're a bodybuilder. I'm like, no.
Oh my God. Yeah. I just go ahead, Cody. Sorry.
It's still the same amount of calories, no matter how awful it tastes. Yeah. So you might as well make it taste good.
Exactly.
Yeah. If you don't like it, you won't eat it. So I'm packing lunches. Like this was a big struggle, up until recently, to be honest. I'm like packing lunches and I'm like, I don't want to eat that. I don't want to eat it. And there's a Chick-fil-A next door. And I'm like, I can't eat there for principles alone. And then there's a Starbucks and a Chipotle and a Panera. And I'm like, my God, I can't, no. And then you find yourself going out, and then I'm looking at all my Chipotle stuff and I'm like, it's like 1,200 calories. That is my whole calorie for most of my day. And I don't even love this. I'm literally going, I don't like that piece. I don't like that piece. I feel like they gypped me on the steak and the chicken, but there's a lot of rice in here. So I just started meal prepping. And I don't like rice. And I eat a lot of it because the wife likes it. So I have to meal prep. And a lot of it's just been coming to that realization. I got to help her eat better too. Cause I'm like, if I'm going to cook for me, I got to cook for her. So meal prepping has been a big one, and just controlling my lunches. Now dinners we're still working on, because frozen pizzas are life.
Did you grow up? Sorry, Cody, go ahead.
Oh, go for it. It's so much weirder with 3 people. You're like,
yeah. I was just gonna say, so did you grow up eating healthy and all that jazz, or was that something you had to acquire as you started this?
Oh,
yeah.
No, I didn't grow up eating healthy. Not at all. I mean, I didn't grow up eating bad. No, I didn't grow up eating well at all. We eating out McDonald's, Frisch's, Bob Evans. That was the things that we ate. I can't eat them now. Eating a lot of potato-based meals, stuff like that. Because we didn't grow up with a lot of money. Yeah, we didn't grow up with a lot of money. You ate what you could and what you could afford, and you ate a lot of it, and you definitely went back and fought for seconds and thirds if you were lucky, and that's how I grew up. So eating healthy has been something I definitely had to learn in the last many years, and it's still, still not perfect, but definitely had to learn. And veggies were uncommon.
Same.
All the time. Yeah. Peas. We had peas. That was your veggie.
Yeah.
And
we had corn. So yeah, we had corn.
Yeah. That's not even a vegetable.
Oh man.
No, and you poop it all out.
That's great.
You don't.
Even our cows don't digest that. So it's definitely been something learned.
That's what yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. Then I'll just say this. When I first started doing this, and I was trying for many years, even before I started the whole coaching thing, many years, I'm like, I'm going to eat healthy. And then I ate boring. Like, you ever had boiled chicken and decided that was what you should eat?
No.
Just,
I think that's what people think that like you have to do to lose weight, and then that's like no wonder it sucks and you hate it and like don't want to try. It's like it doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah, that's what. So like I think that's one really common misconception, is that people who like eat healthy now like grew up eating healthy, and like we had like on Fridays, I remember growing up, we had White Castle or Taco Bell, and like that was like our going out food, and like it was so exciting. So you'd like pick out how many sliders you wanted, and I'm like, that was that was our treats. And like I had kid cuisines all the other time, or like beef stew, and it was like from the can. And I'm like, that's how we grew up. Like potatoes and broccoli casserole were like there are vegetables, corn.
so meat, potatoes, and cheese, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's the Midwestern diet.
Oh yeah.
Oh man.
What was your question, Cody, or do you forget?
Yeah, I might have forgotten what that question was.
When sorry, go ahead.
No, go for it.
What is your favorite workout now? Like, do you look forward to workouts, or are you still staring at the gym door?
Oh no, I look forward to workouts. I definitely look forward to them. I stopped staring at the gym door a few years ago when I found fitness at the end of a breakup. Yeah. Thank you, Elizabeth Hartman and Brandy Schmidt. We're now really good friends, by the way, which is the weirdest thing. It's such the lesbian thing to do.
I wasn't going to say it, but, yeah.
Everybody was thinking it.
I'll put us out there. I'll put us out there for that. Liz left me for Brandy, and I had to go find the gym because they were at my house. So I definitely look forward to it. For a long time, it was legs. Like, I love legs, but I tweaked my back last August doing deadlifts on a warm-up set, which is the worst. So now I'm terrified of deadlifts. But I really look forward to, honestly, like, shoulders, especially since I really feel like in the last 6 months, I've started to feel the kind of connection to them. Because one of the things I've been doing on a lot of mobility at work, because I'm on a computer a lot, so I have really bad forward head, in my opinion, is working on getting the mobility of my shoulders back and my neck. And I've been able to actually feel them. So yes, I look forward to the gym. Sometimes I don't look forward to the day it is, like if it's a Monday or a Wednesday, but I definitely look forward to going.
Yeah. Nice. So what would you say to someone who was in your shoes before you found the love to the gym? Like those people who are still sitting in their cars. Like what is something, because I think everybody has to find that like epiphany moment, right? And would you have any like sage advice from I've been there, like this is what helped me, or
stop,
or the only way to get your heart trampled?
No, I mean, I think that's a big part for a lot of us. I love the TikToks that point that out, and I'm like, yeah, I agree. I would say that the first thing, like, one, you don't have to go to the gym if you don't want to. If you don't want to go, don't fucking go. Like, there's other ways to do it. Work out at home. Go for a walk around the block. Take the dog with you. Go be that person that does hill sprints. Whatever you got to do movement. But if the gym is what you want to do, and you're just sitting there like I was staring at the door, one of the first things I always kind of want to say is, like, make sure you go pick a time. Just pick a time. Because we're always like, well, I don't know anybody. Well, you didn't know anyone when you went to work, right? Now you got friends at work. How do you get that? Oh, you showed up every day at 10 a.m., right? So go at a time that's comfortable for you and just go in. And you don't have to be there for an hour. If you're there for 20 minutes, you've made success. Go in and just be there. Just be there. Get on the treadmill. Go be at the same time. Because I think one of the things that really started to help me is I started going in the evenings, right? I mean, even like I still, a lot of times, like, I don't want to be here. And I started seeing the same faces over and over again. And I'm like, you don't know my name. I don't know your name. In my head, I'm just going to call you Dragon Ball Z Slides because that's what you wear. And now you're my best friend. And you get the nod and you just feel kind of welcome there. And then if you go at the same time, and it doesn't have to be the same day. If you don't want to go on Monday, don't go on Monday. If you don't want to go on Tuesday, if you go on a Thursday, that's the only day you go. But people start to see you and then you build that community, right? Because we start to feel comfortable and go when we know there's people there and we look forward to it. I'm telling you, when I got the nod from Dragon Ball Z slides, he's a real person. I was like, that makes my heart warm.
Do you know his name now?
No. My next step is the bump. I'm like, fist bump.
Ah, yeah. Yes.
I did like kind of a similar thing, and like, so I used to, when I first started going to the gym I go to, like I really embarrassed myself because I was in prep, and it was like, I had just switched, and it was the pandemic. So like everybody, like there wasn't that many people there, and like I don't go to a gym where there's a bunch of big people, like big guys, like muscly people. And I remember I smashed myself on a bench press, and like at 6 p.m., like at the busiest time, right? And I remember I was so fucking embarrassed, and I had to like, and I was like pinned, and I like went like, "Hey, can you help me?" And someone had to save me, and I could never look at that guy again. And he comes at the same time to this day. And one day, like, I don't know, it must have been like early spring or something. He's like, "Dude, you've put on a lot of weight. You're looking really good." And I was just like, "Me?" And I remember like,
you're like,
"Me?" And like, that's the guy I was like so embarrassed of. And I was like, I don't think there could ever be a feeling that touches that again. Just be like, and it's the same thing. Like, we don't speak. Like, we maybe nod at each other, but that's it. Like, we don't speak. I don't know what his name is. And it's just like, you kind of, like, even just seeing the same faces, kind of like you, like, seeing the same people, you're just like, it's kind of nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're my friend now.
Yeah. Yeah. And you don't have to know.
Like, you just get, no, it's just like, you feel like there's just a connection, and even if you never talk or whatever, and you see it, just it's more comforting. You know, at first, if it's unfamiliar faces, then you like don't really know. But yeah, like even if you never talk to anybody, you will start to get comfortable, and yeah, you'll start doing the head nod thing, whatever. And I have to say, like, if I would have pinned myself the first day when I was at the gym, I probably would have just died there because I'd be too afraid to ask. I would have just laid there forever until it just died. Kudos to you for asking for help.
I would just die. I would get strangled to death slowly.
I would.
Yeah, I don't know what I would have done. Yeah. I mean, I definitely missed a rack once, and I like dropped the bar and it hit me in the face. Thank God it was only the bar. But I was, excuse me, sorry.
Like this?
Don't do that. Don't do that, Herman. But yeah, I was like, and now I'm leaving. It took me a while to go back. So, but I mean, I recently switched. So literally Dragon Ball Z dude, he's someone I'm dealing with right now because I switched time frames because I was a morning person, and then I realized I wasn't seeing my wife ever. And I'm like, well, now I'm lonely, and that's dumb. So I switched to the evenings because she gets off at 9, gets home at 10, and at 10:15, I'm like, excuse me, I have to go to bed. I have to be at the gym by 6. And, in the morning, I was having the opposite problem. I'd been going so consistently. I actually had friends. I knew their names. And many a times I went in there and I didn't get a damn thing done because I was talking too damn much. So tip number 2, know how to work out and talk to people. So you're sitting there and Charlie's just talking. When I'm football, I'm telling you, I'm a big football. I'm a Cowboys fan, all right? How about them boys? And talking all the trash. And you're just like, and now it's 8:15 and I didn't have time to do any of my lifts or my cardio. I'm ashamed of myself. I have to come back tonight anyway.
Then you can
So don't get to know people too well. That's the secret.
Well enough that they'll come save you when you drop a bar. And also not so well that they come talk to you too much.
Yeah, fair enough.
There you go.
I'm just such a like social introvert. I don't really have that problem. So
I think you need
I'm
that
like,
hoodie.
No one wants to talk to me.
That antisocial lifter hoodie. Have you seen that? I get the Instagram.
I don't
ads
even
all
need
the
a hoodie.
time.
It's just written on my face.
People can tell by
It's
the
like,
way
we're
I
not going to talk to you. It's okay. Yeah. It's like, I don't make eye contact.
Cody's getting the nod of approval and he's just like, I can't see it.
He'd never
Can't
seen
see
it.
it.
He's never seen it.
Legit.
Someone's gonna have to like do a nod with their foot or something. Just Cody's.
Mm-hmm. Or Des will have to point it out to him, like, "Hey, they nodded to you." I'm like, okay, I'm still not looking.
So funny, actually, we have this neighbor, and he goes to my gym, And like, I always find myself not even acknowledging his existence, but like now that like, I mean, Des and I work out basically every day together, and he'll like wave or like nod or say something at the gym, and I'll just be in my own world and not like even notice. And Des will be like, your neighbor is there. He's like waving at you or whatever. I'm like, oh shit. Or like she'll wave and I like was like, I didn't even like know, I don't recognize him. Like I just don't see faces when I'm at, like, it's just like I'm in my own little world all the time. But that's probably why people are like, don't talk to that guy. He's like a total asshole.
See, I don't wear my glasses to the gym, so I can't ever see, like, unless they're like right up on me, like if I know them or not. So like I'm always lost. Always lost.
That's funny. I'm an extreme extrovert, just so you know. It's gotten me in trouble many a times. And I'm that person that's like not even realizing I'm mean mugging somebody, when in my head I'm just like, I like their shirt. Their hair looks nice. Those delts are pretty good. I wonder if he'd nod. So I don't have that problem at all.
That's really funny.
That's hilarious. Oh man.
I feel like we're getting so off topic.
Hey, what is on topic?
That's true. We didn't really have a plan.
We're still talking about the gym. Yeah. So I would say, I guess my question would be, so from the time, like, how long did you sit in the car staring at the gym? And at what point did you say to yourself, yeah, I'm going to walk it?
When she got her heart broken.
That was the big one. But I signed up for this gym in 2013, and I can literally picture this in my head because I bought my childhood home, and I was living in this house with my uncle when he went, and we were like, we're going to sign up the gym and we're going to be fit. I'm like, okay, cool. Yeah, I got it. I'm like 18 and I worked at the library, and I'd come home, and I remember I'd come home and I'd change at home and I'd drive to the gym 1 mile from my house, and I would sit there. And I would sit there and sit there and sit there. And every time I sat there for 20 minutes, and I said I had to go and be gone from the house for 40 minutes so that Chris didn't think I was lying, right? If you were there for 40 minutes, he was going to call me on it. I'd sit there for 20 minutes, and then I'd go in and I'd do 20 minutes on the treadmill. And I finally stopped doing that because I just stopped going to the gym, to be completely fair. But no, that's part of it. But I finally stopped taking the full 20 minutes when I started going in, and I found a perfect time when it was dead. So I was like, if I get there at 8:35, because I got off at 8, so I was home by 8:20, so it means I had plenty of time. If I got there at 8:35 and I got in at 8:35, no one would come in for another 40 minutes, right? So I could be over there doing whatever I was doing for that 40 minutes without anyone realizing it. But I would say I did that pattern for probably 6 months. Literally that pattern for 6 months before I was like, knock it off. You have to go do this. Like, or just don't do it. You're a grown woman. You can just tell your uncle you don't want to go to the gym. He's not going with you. Just don't do it. But at that point, it had become such a pattern. And then seriously, like, I fell off the wagon for like 2 years. I was like, oh, now I have a girlfriend. I don't need fitness. Life is perfect.
Yeah, that happens.
Oh man. Well, I mean, whether you consciously did it or not, as like James Clear would say, you were practicing the art of showing up, and you conquered that.
Yeah.
I did. I mean, I can picture it and like how it happened. It's like 40 minutes, guys. But I would say, like I said, like 6 months, and then I was on it for 6 months, and then I was off of it for 2 years, and then I was back in it again. And there were still days like I'd go and I'd be like, I don't want to be here. And I'd just sit in the parking lot. And a lot of it's just the mental battle of why. Like, what does anyone, do you know what I mean? Like, why are you here? If you're just here because you just want to have general health, that's your why, then pick something that makes general health. Like, the gym doesn't have to be miserable. Yeah. I'm literally talking about that with my wife right now because she hates it. And I'm like, but I want to do it with you. She's like, well, I'm only here because you want me to be here. I'm like, well, that's your why. Like, you don't have to come when I'm not here. I just want to come with you. Like, I want to share this thing I love with you, right? Or I have a couple friends I've been talking to, and they're like, well, I need to lose weight. I'm like, why? Like, and like, well, I'm overweight. And I'm like, okay, but what's your actual why? Like, why do you want to do it? Because we tell ourselves every day, like even I'm like, I gotta lose weight. I I got to be trim. I want to look like Kate Beckinsale. All right. From Underworld. That's my goal. It's my goal physique. You laugh, but I'm so serious. And I'm like,
I just
you
love
have to
the
find
deep
the
cut,
why.
to be honest.
Yeah. I just love all of it. So, but yeah, you just gotta, the why behind it. And my why was finally like, it's cold and I don't want to be in my car anymore. And if I get there at 8:35, no one's there.
I love that. And that's a lot of introspection, I think, that people don't put into it. So, like, was it something that made you like that? Like, what triggered you to look inward like that? Because I think that's really, like, deep for someone who didn't love it at the first. You know what I mean? Was there something that triggered you to look inward like that? Or have you always been like that, like a deep thinker?
No, I was so superficial. It wasn't even funny.
That is deep. It's deep to like kind of examine those kinds of things. Most people don't do that.
It is. So I would say what really started to do the whole, because a lot of times, like, it really was just go do it and just suffer. And then I had to switch to the why. And I probably did this. So like I said, I've been at the gym about 10 years. I would say about 7 of it has been consistent. And I would say probably right around year 7, I was finally like getting into a career field I thought I was going to love. I was working with, trying to help with drug rehabilitation. Right. And one of the things we would talk about people when they're going through that, because that's hard. That's really hard for people. Like there's a lot to drugs than anyone thinks of. It's not just, oh, I smoked weed and now I do cocaine. There's so much more to it. Right. Like it's not a gateway drug. And one of the questions I ask them, like, why do you want to be sober? And when I would ask that question, I'm sitting there thinking to myself, like, that's a great question. And we should ask why way more often. Right. And you just why. Now, I'm not saying being annoying, like, well, why do we do this? Why does the world round? Like, no, but why do you want to do something? So I would say it probably many years ago when that started, and then it's just kept going because the why changes. Just like your goals change, your why changes all the time. And sometimes your why is really motivational, and sometimes your why is really selfish. Like, screw you. You left me. Now I'm going to go be hotter than you. And that's an okay why, too.
Hey, they work sometimes.
Yeah.
Whatever works, right?
And that's what got me really I'll be honest, that is really where the love came from. Now my why has changed. So my why now is I'm looking for that overall general health. What can I do and the goal I can have that lets me keep doing the stuff that I love to do? I think one of the first sentences I said to Cody, because I'm one of his clients, right, was, if you tell me I have to give up my local brewery, I won't email you back. Right. And we all know alcohol isn't good for you. It's not good for any health. Like, listen, you guys are like legit bodybuilders. Me, I'm a general fitness person. I like to do that stuff. And I'm like, so my why behind it is I want to be able to look. I want to look good in my clothes. I don't have to look good naked. I don't have to. I want to look good in my clothes, and I want to be able to be healthy and to move well and to do the things that I love to do with the people that I want to be around. And one of them is like, we all like to go to breweries, so I want to be able to go there and not feel guilty about being there.
And I think that's completely legit, because I think, like, most people want to go from, they think that it's one of the extremes, right? But there's so much in between, right? It's like a continuum, like everything else in life is nowadays, right? Everything is a continuum. You don't have to be on one end of the spectrum or the other, right? You can have both. And that's the wonderful thing about flexible lifestyle type fitness and nutrition. It's the fun part of it. Like, you don't have to be a bodybuilder.
Yeah. And yeah, like you mentioned already, it just really depends on what your personal goals are, or, like, you know, if it's just general health and you just want to be able to do the things that you want to do and be healthy, like, then it's not as much of this like rigid thing. You know, with bodybuilding, it's very much like it's more rigid. There's less wiggle room, but that's not meaning that that's how everyone has to be. So it really, you know, things can be a lot more flexible for just the general kind of lifestyle client. And I don't believe in like making someone give up something they love completely, because obviously that's not going to be sustainable. So there's always ways to, like, work everything you love in. And obviously it's not like you can just take everything you love every single day in large amounts. If you gotta kind of cut it down a little bit and make it more moderation. But, so there's a tiny bit of sacrifice, but it's probably going to be worth it if you're striving and getting closer to those goals and, getting more healthy because of it. And I think once you start to see that, then it makes it worth it. But in the beginning, I'm sure it's probably the hardest.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was miserable. It was absolutely miserable. And I think everyone should define their moderation too. So you need your why, and then you need to know your so literally I've been talking to a lot of people because everyone's like, how do I get in the gym? And I'm like, go. And I know in the hindsight, I'm like, that's not helpful because I like it. And I go to the same gym. I have 11 locations I go to, and I don't know about you guys, but I don't go to 10 of them. I go to one of them. Yeah. And I go there because that's where my nodding friends are. And that's the gym I like. I know where all the equipment is. I don't have to fight for anything. And if it's too busy, it's a mile from the house. So I'll just go back later. Yeah. I am notorious for that, by the way. If it's too busy, I just won't go in. But I'm like, they're like, how do you get into it? I'm like, seriously, what do you want to do? No, I just want to lose weight. I was literally talking to my friend. I'm like, why do you want to lose weight? She's like, I don't know. Turning 50, and I want to lose 50 by the time I'm 50. And I'm like, if that's your why, I guess we can do that. What do you want to do it? I don't know. I'm like, okay, well, now we got to figure out what you like to do. Because if you like to do it, you'll do it. If you hate to do it, you won't do it. You just can't. So, and then I'm like, well, what do you want to cut? And they're like, well, I got to get rid of all this stuff. And I'm like, well, why are you getting rid of all your carbs? I'm like, well, I'm fat. And I'm like, no, it's not going to do it.
Nope.
I mean, when you're off on Saturday, you're going to binge. Don't do that. Find your moderation, find where you want to be. And moderation, I think for a lot of people, especially in today's world, is not as restrictive as people think. Everyone's like, I got to eat 1,200 calories. I'm like, have you ever eaten 1,200 calories?
Oof, yeah. No.
Probably in one sitting for one meal.
Yeah, but I mean, think about when I first started, and I was doing it on my own. Hi, Max. When I first started, I was eating 2,600 calories and losing weight, and that tells me I was probably consuming 3,500, and I didn't even realize it. And I was like, wow, okay. So it's just people don't realize what food is and whatnot.
Yeah. How long would you?
And I also want to say
no, go ahead, Cody.
I just wanted to point out the fact that you started your calories so high is actually a really, really good thing to do, because people think that they have to automatically just go down to 1,200 calories, 1,500 calories, and then it's like a shock, it's way less than what you're used to. You're probably going to be hungry all the time, and no wonder people can't follow through or give up, because it's miserable. So it's if you don't know how many calories you're eating previously, why would you automatically assume that you have to eat 1,200 to 1,500, but you just brought it down to well, obviously you brought it down because you're losing weight, but you put it at a pretty sustainable point. It was just your starting point, so you could see where you're even at. And I think so many other people could do that and have more success rather than just jumping straight into extremes. So I just really like that you mentioned that, for sure, because yeah, it's a mistake a lot of people make.
How long would you say it took you to have everything kind of click like that? So I know you wanted to go to the gym, but and you've been going consistently for a really long time, but how long into the process of it all did it really start feeling good? I know a lot of people will start going, they can appreciate what the gym does. They appreciate it, but they wouldn't say they like it. And I think a lot of times it takes a long time for it to click. And does that make sense? Or did you have one of those moments?
Yes, that does make sense. I would say it took a solid 2 years or so for it to click. And I'm a little embarrassed to say it took that long, because where I'm at now, I'm it should take days. No, it took 2 years. It took 2 years of only being willing to give the gym 2 days.
Yeah.
Of only being willing to go for 1 hour on the dot. If I was halfway through a workout and it was 60 minutes in, I was done. I was leaving. It took I mean, it took even longer before I dialed in the nutrition piece, before I was willing to dial it in, before I was willing to realize that Buffalo Wild Wings is not good for 3 meals a day. It took a really long time to do that, but I would say it was like a solid 2 years before I was like, because I was seeing results, I was kind of getting it. But at that point, I was just coming out of like I said, I rode horses for years. So I was naturally staying relatively fit without being like super fit. And so I wasn't seeing like drastic results, but it was like 2 years. And I was like, and it finally, I would say I moved to a different gym. So this, like, there was 11 locations. I only go to one now, but I've used them all at one point. And for 2 years, I just kind of suffered where I was. I was like, I don't really like where I'm at. I don't like the gym. I don't like being here. I don't like myself here. I am bored out of my mind. I don't like doing anything. I'm a weakling. That guy scares me, and that chick is too buff to be anywhere near. So I'm not coming in if she's here. I hate the treadmill. I don't want to do it. The elliptical is broken. The one I like is occupied. Literally, that was what was in my brain. It was nothing but constant, like, I hate being here, I hate being here, I hate being here. And then I switched to another location. I started working closer to a different location. I was like, all right, I work 10-hour days. I don't want to give any more of my time than I have to. So I'll go to this location. And I think it was when I was there and just something about it, I started going after work and it just started to click. I was like, okay, I'm actually enjoying myself. I enjoy this place. I enjoy the people I'm around. I'm still not talking to them. The equipment works. Right. I can use the treadmill I want. I can use the bike I want. I'm not fighting for equipment. And if I am fighting for equipment, I'm not fighting for equipment from someone who's too buff to be next to me. And that's when it started. And then I started to have this rhythm and pattern that started to fall into place. I was like, okay, I go Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Right. I was off Tuesdays, Thursdays that week. I was like, great. I go on a work day. I don't have to dedicate any of my personal time to this. I go after work. And it just started to just really move, and I started to understand what it was, and I started to enjoy it. And then it probably took another 2 years before it turned into what it is now for me, where I go all the time. Like, I go 4 days a week religiously. I try for 5 quite often. Sometimes I'm successful. Sometimes I'm not. Sometimes the work just doesn't line up. And I would say the biggest part of the clicking was understanding that this doesn't have to be a chore unless I make it a chore. Because if I decide that I hate it and it's a chore, then you just hate the whole thing. And I'm like, do you want to live in misery or do you want to be happy with what you're doing? All right, I want to be happy. Great. So we're going to make it something. But years, at least 2 years, and then even more time after that for it to even get better.
But that's pretty impressive to just like grin and bear it for 2 years. Like, that is a lot of habit. Like, most people wouldn't last 2 years just grinning and bearing it.
No.
At all.
I mean, and to play devil's advocate, it's to say, like, so you might think you hate something, but also give it a chance, right? So it's like, find something you love to do, but at the same time, you have to give it actual, like, running chance first. Because if you would have gone to the gym and, like, first time hated it, you're like, no, that's a form of exercise that is not for me. You wouldn't have had the time to, like, fall in love with it and start to enjoy it. So it's kind of like, yeah, find something that you love and enjoy, but also make sure you give something enough of a chance first. And you gave it a really long chance.
The longest chance.
You eventually fell in love with it. So, yeah, kudos.
Yeah.
That is dope. Yeah.
Yeah. I did. Yeah, it was a miserable 2 years. It was a miserable 2 years.
Had to have been one.
But I'm the queen of micromanaging. So I was like, I'm just going to make time. Just got to. I had no hobbies outside of that. I was working 2 jobs, going to school full time. I was like, well, we're going to do.
But that's even more impressive to still stick with it for 2 years and hating it. Like, that is so impressive. Like, because most people will be like, I don't have time for this. I don't have time to do something I hate.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But that's to say, too, like, since you started off so rough, you knew it was sustainable for you at all times, because you're like, this is awful, but then you can just keep doing that because it was way worse when you started.
Yeah.
That's true. That's very true.
That's dope. I like it. I don't know.
So,
go ahead.
Yeah. Should we talk a little bit more about nutrition? Because I know that's kind of like your biggest vice, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. It's the challenge.
But do you know how to
and
cook now? Are you a good cook?
I do. So, no, I'm a better cook. I am not a good cook. If I tell you I'm a good cook, then people will expect me to cook. And I managed to get by for 4 years without having to cook a single meal.
That's
all right?
true. Yeah.
So I'm a better cook. Yes. I would say a lot of mine with nutrition is I was in college for a lot of this. And we create bad habits in college. I don't know about you guys, but I know I did. Yeah, I don't know about Cody. You might not have.
I don't think Cody has any.
I went to culinary school, so
and it was all about, for a long time, literally bacon cheese dip was the thing. It was the bacon cheese dip, the Buffalo Wild Wings, the Cousin Vinny's. If you've never had Cousin Vinny's, it is trash pizza that is amazing. And so the nutrition piece is always going to, it's not always, it's getting easier. And so what I was getting to the point is I'm struggling right now, and I'm like hyper focused on it. I'm like, even yesterday, like it was my uncle's reception for his wedding. And I'm like, we can't eat that. That's too much food. And I'm like, hold on. Let's actually count what it is. It's brisket and it's pulled pork and a single slice of pie and then lots of carrots. Right. But what the point was is like, I'm looking at it now and I'm like, yes, I still have room to grow. But it's still better than what it was 2 years ago. Cause let me tell you something. I lived at the bar down the street and I ate their chicken wings all the time. And I ate their fried mozzarella sticks, and it was bad, but it's gotten better. So to answer your question, I do cook now. In fact, when we get off this, I have to cook dinner. So we're having steak tips with noodles and gravy, just so you know. But yeah, and then just my wife is an amazing cook. And so I'll be like, babe, will you make me food? Will you make me food, please?
Oh,
please.
I have a fun question. And so you're doing this with a partner, and your partner is not on the same fitness journey as you, I assume. So how do you manage a household where two different people are eating two different things? Because I get this a lot. I get questions about this a lot. Like, well, so I can't eat what my wife is making, or we can't share a meal. And I'm like, you can share, but yeah. How do you handle it?
One, if I cook, she'll eat whatever I make. So my meals tend to be a little bit more balanced, a little bit more vegetable heavy, and a lot more protein heavy. So we do that. And then something we've worked on, because she's gotten better, still not the greatest, but when we cook, and we always lay it out in the morning, like what we're going to make. I always know it's going to be dinner, because that's one thing we had to do. Because if we just went by the seat of our pants, it would be spaghetti with red sauce and very little meat, right? I'm like, that's great, babe. Thanks. But the one way we balance is there's 7 days a week. I make all of our lunches. I take care of that. I meal prep for all of our lunches. 2, I have to cook at least 3 of the dinner meals. We'll eat out for 1. We'll always eat out for 1. It's going to happen. And then she will cook the other, what is that? So 3, 4, 5, the other 2. 3. I got math. She cooks the other 3. One of those, she's allowed to make it whatever she wants it to be. So it can be spaghetti, it can be whatever it is. And the other 2, we have to have a discussion. So the other 2, I pick the protein, and she has to build the meal around said protein. And that's just something we've been doing. And it's not even something we realized we were doing until we started to talk about it more. And I'm like, oh, it's really what we've been doing, right? So that's what we've been doing. Now, my big issue is when we go out to eat for that one meal, right? So, and it's going to happen. Listen, as we've been telling everybody, we're in the journey of not only health and fitness, but also financial health, and trying to pull it all in and like get it, because the economy sucks. So we were going out to eat twice a week. Now we're down to like once a week, and we're trying to get to that one too. But when we go out, that's the hard part, because she'll be like, Olive Garden, and I'm like, no, there's not a lot I can eat there. Like, Roosters? I'm like, I do like chicken wings. You want to go to yes. Like Fazoli's? I'm like, no, there's not a lot I can eat there either. And so the going out to eat the heart Mexican, I'm like, no, I mean, there is more, but I don't like Mexican. But I guess I could eat fajitas. So
fajitas are great in a pinch.
That's always my
They
go-to.
are. They are, but you can blow your entire day of calories at literally just eating Mexican. Like, I counted it once. I'm like, oh my God, there's so much food here. And I ate it. I ate all of it. But even before we got to that, like, a lot of it is just, all right, I guess, let's the spaghetti thing. Let's go with that. Like, that's something that's always, because she loves spaghetti and I can't stand it because pasta is so hard. And question, how do you even measure your calories for pasta? Is it wet? Is it dry? What is it? What is it? Is it ounces? Is it grams? Like, what is it?
So, well, I can help you here. So you can dry measure it before you cook it. Usually serving sizes on the package are dry. So you have to math a little when you actually like use a whole box or something. And then if you got to portion it out, so you have to use a little bit of the brain. But, also, sometimes, like, MyFitnessPal has cooked options, so you can also do it that way if they do have a cooked version of whatever type of pasta you're using. So it's just generally whatever you find to be easier. I don't cook a lot of pasta, but I feel like I would probably do it dry and then just kind of count how many portions I made when I put the dry stuff in there, you know,
a little bit of guesstimation. I'm assuming. I'm actually going to use this because she loves spaghetti.
Yeah, so there's a little guesstimation
in a funny face.
Oh,
no, there's Beck.
Yeah. But what I was going to say with the spaghetti is deconstruct it. So that has been a lifesaver for us because I don't do a lot of sauces. I don't do a lot of pasta. So I'm like, deconstruct it. Just deconstruct it. Don't put any of it together. When you're making stir fry, don't put it together. Just make it. I'll put it together myself, right? Just make it. Yeah. When you're doing anything, I would say right then and there, like if you're on a health journey and they're on something, you can make anything you want healthy. You really can.
Yeah.
You take spaghetti, you prioritize the ground beef or the ground turkey or whatever the ground meat is you're using. You put that on first and you weigh it. Then you add your little bit of sauce because everyone adds too much sauce. And then you add your noodles. Well, guess what? You've just figured out how to make it a high protein dish.
Look at you. Yeah. Hell yeah. I love that.
Very true. Yeah.
Did you guys meet before your journey, like during it, like, or what did she like, was she part of it with you? Like, so like, was there, essentially what I'm trying to get to is, was there any kind of resistance? Like, I know sometimes people just don't want to, like, especially if you guys, everybody's happy doing what you do, and then one person wants to change a little, and it sometimes can create turmoil. And if that's off limits, that's fine too. But I think that it's something people deal with a lot.
Open book. Open book. Don't tell Ariel a secret. I'll tell it to the world.
Welcome to
that's
YouTube.
How open I am. So she. I've met her, I've been with her, we're working on our 5th year, so I kind of found her kind of as I was getting into at the end of the 2 years of hell is when I found it, and then I was in a really hard job where it just made it hard to do anything. It was emotionally, mentally, physically, all of it was rough. Anyone who's ever a corrections officer, you better appreciate them because they go through hell, okay? It's rough. Yeah. And she has been nothing but supportive. Now, she's not necessarily going to, like, this is the first time that she's been like, I'll come to the gym with you. And even then it's like pulling teeth, but nothing but supportive with it. The biggest pushback I get is she really does love like pasta places, like in the eating out. And some of that's been a big pushback, but she's actually been really supportive with all of it. She's at a point where she's like, should you be eating that?
Oh.
And I'm like, I don't know. Should you? Or she's like, hey, did you go to the gym today? You didn't make it this morning. You need to get out of my face and go to the gym. Like, she's been one of those.
That's great.
I would say it is. It really is, because we are nowhere near the same fitness goals, lifestyle, nothing. Polar opposites. I would say the pushback came from me, where I was just like, I could quit. I could just quit today. I would blend right in with society. And she's like, no, go do your gym. Like during COVID, when the gym shut down during COVID, I had a couple of bands and a single pair of 15-pound weights. And the worst part is 1 month prior, I had a set of 40s and a set of 25s that I threw away because it was too heavy to move.
You could have sold that for millions of dollars.
I couldn't.
Well, even more than
I was
that, they
so
would
mad.
worth so much money.
Yes.
Yes. I was just like, they're too heavy. I stubbed my toe. The gym will always be there.
Oh, man.
Wasn't. And I'm like freaking out. I'm like, oh my God. Like, I am being a total I'm being a bitch. Like, I'm mean. I'm like yelling at her. I'm like, I'm gonna lose my gains. I'm gonna lose my strength. And at that point, I was actually on a power, like a strength building phase. So like, I just benched 135. I'm strong. Now I'm gonna be weak again. And she was like, go work out with your bands. Let's go. She actually, the best part was, is she got on Facebook Marketplace and she found me some kettlebells. She found me a crappy set of weights from like Walmart. Like within like 2 weeks, I had a set kettlebells, a 20, 30, and a 40-pound kettlebell. She had a bench for me. They were crappy dumbbells, but I had a set of dumbbells from 5 to 25, and I had a barbell that went up to 85 pounds. She's like, you got to do something. I was like, well, I don't have a bench. How can I do any of it? She's like, I got a yoga mat. I got a yoga mat.
Love.
She's like, we go to Lowe's. We could buy some lumber. Yes. And then I started running. I was like, I'm going to run. I'm gonna pick up running. I was like, I don't like to work out in my garage was covered in like, I bought the house from my uncle, so my garage was his stuff, right? For a while until he got it out. I'm like, I have nowhere to work out. She's like, take it out in the backyard. She's like, you know what? You're gonna pick up running. I'm like, yeah, I'll pick up running. That's fine. She's like, great, get in the car. We're gonna go run. I'm like, I don't like to run. She's like, if me and the dog loop this, and you haven't ran it at least twice, she's like, you're in trouble. You're going to walk home. Like, but I really don't like to run. So she's been nothing but supportive. Wonderful. Nothing. She's been a moderator for me. She's like, you've been going a little hard. Eat this ice cream cone. And I'm like, that doesn't line up with my goals. And she's like, I weighed it, and it's half the amount of a serving. And I'm like, yes.
Real winner you got there,
man.
to be honest.
Yeah.
Real winner. Not like...
Yeah,
I don't know how I got that.
Like partner pushers.
I guess the other question
are
is
really great partners who support goals.
Yeah. And do you still have your equipment? Because we don't need you to start like COVID again. I feel like once you dumped that into the dumpster, that's just when it happens.
I'm never getting rid of it ever again. Even after the gym opened, I was like, I still need some Bowflexes. I went to Walmart and bought more dumbbells. When they were
like legit, same.
Bought a bench. I was like, I can't get a squat rack in here because my garage is 8 feet by 10 feet.
Okay.
Right. It is barely big enough. Like we went to Rogue, like I was on their website and I was like, we gotta go to Rogue, babe. We gotta go to Rogue. And she's like, all right, why? I was like, well, I gotta buy a squat rack. And she's like, okay, well, what dumbbell? I'm like, I'm gonna get the women's. It's shorter. She's like, I want you to think about taking this 45-pound plate and putting it up there on the bar. I'm like, I'm gonna just get 35s. It's all good. She was ready. She's like, all right, I'll get the van. And I'm like, yeah, let's go. And then the gym's open. I'm like, never mind. Hold on.
Pump the brakes.
Hold on. You don't have to go. Because they're up there in Columbus. Have you been to their
I used to go to the garage sale every year so they have this thing called the garage sale where it's just a bunch of fit people in a Black Friday situation. So they have, like, everybody stands outside the gate like hours ahead of time, and then they open the gate and everybody runs and sits on things because like no one can carry it actually, and like so like they'll be sitting on like a stack of like 35-pound plates or like kilo plates, like because I used to work at an Olympic lifting gym. We would go and find the kilo plates because that was very rare, and we would like sit on a whole pack, and then like someone would try to push you off, and you'd be like, no, or like. There would be like lifters.
Sounds so aggressive.
It was very aggressive, and there would be like a big old like a pallet of like shoes, like either CrossFit shoes, lifting shoes, anything, and people would just grab them by the handfuls, and none of them would match. You would have to find the pair, and like so you'd be like, I'll trade this one for that matching one. And, like you would like barter with people. It was terrifying, but it was I used to go there a lot.
That's awesome.
And then, Cody, I know you tried to build a home gym. At least the Insta says you did.
Yeah, that was awful. It didn't work. Like, we bought this really shitty rig from this, like, local company that had just started up, but it was the cheapest we could find, and they actually had equipment. So we bought from them, and it was like a faulty set. Like, it was missing some things. Like, things were just not right. We couldn't put it together. They let us bring it back, and we got a new set. And the second one was a little better. We got a little further into the building phase, but there were still some structurally incorrect things that prevented us from putting it together. And then we had tried to get a refund for the longest time. The company eventually gave us a refund, and then they went under. They were supposed to come pick up the set that they had given us, but they went out of business. So Des literally still has this janky ass set in at her house. So it works for just plain squatting, but that's about it. So we have a set from this really shitty fitness company that went under, and luckily we got our money back, because not everybody did. So I also ordered a set of dumbbells that I actually had to I luckily paid with it through PayPal. So I got my money back because I put a complaint in through PayPal and they gave me it back. But if I would have used my debit credit card, different story. I probably wouldn't have got it back.
What was wrong with the dumbbells? That's pretty hard to mess up.
I never got them.
Oh, that's very wrong with the dumbbells.
Yeah. You need to find a welder.
So PayPal.
Something. Yeah. Just someone to weld you something.
Seriously. Yeah, legit.
I had so I have my friend Eli, in his basement, he has all this weightlifting equipment, and he's like, "Oh yeah, you can have it." He's like, "Hold on, that's not mine. That's my brother-in-law's. Let me ask your brother-in-law." I'm like, "Listen, I will pay him $2 a pound for these 35-pound dumbbells and these 25-pound dumbbells." He told me no. I was like, "Well, can I rent them?" Can I rent them I'll give them back. I've known this man for 12 years. He knows where he lives. He has a key to my house. Can I rent them? And they wouldn't. So that's why I was frantic to get a hold of equipment. And then my neighbors, during COVID, it was real funny because I would do suicide sprints in my front yard because I have a 5-car driveway, right? We fit 5 cars, and I would do the suicide sprints, and they'd just be like, "Sorry guys, my backyard's a hill. And the dog goes back there." Nothing's worse than when you're doing sprints and you're dodging your little mind bombs there.
I used to live really close to OSU campus, and I saw someone had made a gym out of concrete. So they had poured concrete on the end of fence piping and made to make
That's awesome.
barbells. And I'm like, I cannot imagine trying to lift that.
I thought about that for a second.
Concrete.
I did, for real.
Can you imagine dropping that also?
Ouch, yeah. On your foot.
On your foot, or I would be worried about breaking the concrete that you were lifting on, or putting giant divots in your grass.
True.
The grass thing. Yeah. And then I spent a lot of time looking at YouTube, Garage Gym's reviews. Everyone knows him, right? On YouTube, at what squat rack to get. And I was like, I'm getting the SML 1 or 2 from Rogue because I want a Rogue thing. And then I finally, as the gym went through, I was like, I'd probably, honestly, if I had to, just buy the cheap one from Amazon. However, I had to have something from Rogue. That's what I wanted. I'm in love with them. I don't know why, but I'm in love with them. So I bought several of their dumbbells, by the way. Well, that's probably part of it. My local business. And I bought several of their dumbbells. And then my wife was like, "How much money did you spend on those?" I'm like, $375. She's like, "How many do you have?" I was like, "I have a pair of 40s and a pair of 30s. Do you know we bought all this from Walmart for a third of the cost, right?" I'm like, "Yeah, but Rogue."
Well, yep.
My dumbbells that I bought from Walmart are filled with sand, and they're huge. They are the most awkward thing to press because you have to keep your arms so wide, and it's because you can't go up because they'll hit they are too big. I hate them.
I have those too, but they actually had hex belt dumbbells,
I did not have
the hex
hexes.
ones, the actual dumbbells. Yeah, and I got them just before they had a price increase because I went in there and I was like, the website said they were $1.10 a pound, and then in store they were $2.15 a pound. I was like, you have to honor your website because I wasn't gonna buy them, and then I just started loading them up in my. I was late to work that day. I was like, I need these dumbbells. They're really important, guys.
Well,
so
COVID times were definitely interesting.
Hopefully we don't have to go back. Let's keep our fingers crossed that monkeypox doesn't.
No.
I won't throw any.
Wow.
Won't throw my dumbbells away. But to answer your question, my wife is extremely supportive. I don't know how I earned her or got her to be any. I don't know what I did, but I hope she never leaves. She's very supportive, and I'm really excited to just. Now she's going with me. Like it's Thursdays at 9:15.
Gym date.
Gym. That's our agreed upon time. Is 9:15 on Thursdays. Oh. It is, and I'm not allowed to work out with her, and I'm not allowed to bug her. But I can stare at her in the mirror. That's it. Because I'm like, eventually we'll get there.
Yeah. It's a good place to start.
And I'm just super excited.
Plus the view's nice,
yes.
I'm sure. So.
And so right now I'm trying to. It is, and I'm trying to like dial it back because I'm like super. I'm like, yeah, it's gonna be great. I'm like, no. Meet her where she's at. If 9:15 is where she's got to be, and we can only be here for half an hour. Errol, you're only gonna be there for half an hour, or you're gonna have to walk your little butt home.
Yeah.
Gotta start somewhere.
Everyone starts somewhere.
Yeah.
Yep. So as far as the summer challenge, do you have any advice for anyone who would like to potentially do another challenge? Like, because you won, obviously. So advice for future competitors.
So one, I think that if you're going to do a challenge like that, especially if there's a Facebook community, my biggest advice is be on it and be present. Because there was definitely a lot of times I'm like, I don't want to do it. And then someone, I think they'd post something and be like, oh man, I got to do this. Right. And two, what's nice with these challenges is they really are set up for you to be successful. Like when I saw your guys' spreadsheet, I was like, oh wow, this is actually it's very easy to tailor to you. Like, like you guys had a calorie and macro goal. I was like, that's amazing because some people are really good at hitting macros and some people are like really good at hitting calories. Right. And so if you're going to do it, tailor it to what you want the challenge to be, because it's a very open challenge. Yes, you have to get points, but just tailor it to how you want it to be. If you really want to use it, and pick something different to put in there to help push it. Like mine was a water goal, right? I was like, I don't have a water goal. And then I'm like, wait, there's a water goal? Well, let's have it and use it. And really, like, I think it helped to make it into more of a competition challenge type thing. Like, because it motivates you. And I think there definitely comes something to when you're doing it, like recognize like you're not just doing it for you, though you are, you're also doing it for the other people in the challenge. Like you guys are supposed to hold each other accountable. Yeah. So I'm telling you, there was a lot of days I went in there and I was like, nah, I don't want to do it. And then I'm like, hold on, this person's doing this and this person's doing that. It's like, I have a responsibility to do it with them because that's why we're here, is to do it together.
And you push each other.
Awesome.
Yeah. Because it's like a never-ending circle of like pushing, and then everybody gets up the hill
and post on the medias.
Yes, definitely.
Please do the Facebook, do the Instagram. Like I would go into Instagram and I'd be like, I'm gonna just like look for the tag of the lab and just do that. Like it's so nice to see it because it's hard to put anything on the internet. Like I don't post anything, but I'm like, safe space. I'm gonna post this really crappy barbell hip thrust where you could probably hear me clean up the barbell. I'm doing it.
Next time we should do a specific hashtag for us. Like make it like put a year in it or something.
That's actually a really good idea.
So we can you can filter out. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be great because I just kept going. I was like, well, I'm going to go find Kel and see who's tagged there. And I'm going to go find Cody and see who's tagged there. And then a couple times I was like, I'm just going to go find these people who are on Facebook and see if I can't see their stuff. But they're all private. So, like, would it be weird if I just hit follow? They might think I'm stalking them. I'm not going to do that. We're not there yet.
Well, what we could do is probably do like everyone put their like social medias up so, everyone
that's a
can
good
follow
idea.
each other and stuff like that. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Because people use Instagram a lot, like a ton. And I'm big into Facebook, but I'm also 30. And I'm like, well, maybe that's part of why I'm big into Facebook. Because I loved it. I'm like, great.
Yeah.
But ultimately, like I said, make your own challenge of it. Pick something that pushes you. And then just be present. And if you're not there for you, be there for the people who agreed to do it with you.
I like that.
That's
great.
Yeah.
Well, is there anything else you want to say? We want to be respectful of your time. Do you have any last few words of wisdom that we didn't get to cover?
No, I wou't. No, I've probably said about everything I usually say. I really am very like this interview was a big motivator for me. I was like,
hell yeah,
I want to be on the podcast because I've listened to like most of your episodes like 2 or 3 times, and I just really am very glad to be here. And it was great to have this conversation. And I'm sorry if I rambled.
No.
I love to talk, and it's my favorite thing to do. I mean, that's why I'm in sales, guys. It's because I can just talk away, and my biggest challenge is being quiet. But, ultimately I would say, just a recap. If you want to be fit and healthy, know why and do it and figure out what you want to do. And it doesn't have to be one modality. But I do think you had a valid point, Cody, when you said it does have to be a challenge. You can't keep doing the same thing every week and expect there to be change. But it doesn't have to be a big change.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe it's small.
I think everything good starts small. So.
Yeah.
Yes. And I would also say I'm big into give yourself grace, but I think there comes a point when giving grace is also holding accountability. So do what you can, but also recognize when you're being an asshole to yourself.
Yep.
And stop it.
Very good. I love it. All right. Do you have anything else, Cody? Because I have a good power talk for us, I think, today.
I'm good. Go for it.
All right. So today I just have a quote from an author who I'd never heard of called Tony Morgan. Oh, shoot. All right. So here's the quote. You get to decide where your time goes. You can either spend it moving forward or you can spend it putting out fires. You get to decide. And if you don't decide, others will decide for you. I think that's the thing I hear the most is, I don't have time. And I'm like, well, everybody has the same time. And I understand that people have busy schedules and different priorities and stuff like that. But I don't think it's necessarily the time. I think it's priorities. And I think if you don't set boundaries on your time, someone else is going to, because it's going to be free, right? So I think knowing where your time goes and auditing the time that you have is a good way to start any kind of journey, especially if it's fitness and if you have goals. So that's what I got for us today.
Permission to be selfish.
Yeah.
Yes.
Heck yeah. Permission granted.
Yep. And take care of yourself, right?
Awesome. Well, thank you again for being on. Thank you for winning, and keep kicking ass. Hope to see you in the next challenge.
Yeah.
I'll definitely be there. Thank you, guys. I appreciate
Thanks,
it.
you too.
You guys have a great evening.
You too.
To everybody next time.
Bye.
Peace.